Well, howdy doody, y'all. I'm recording a song. It's actually an old song um, that I've been honing the vocal delivery for a long time, and you're only going to see maybe the very first portion of it. So you're not about to hear any like real real deliveries, um, but soon. Um, I just had to make up a snack, and at the moment, in order to make a snack in here, um, something that I'm able to make, which is some stolen breakfast muffins and some butter. Um, I need to use the toaster, and to use the toaster, I need to cut the heater, and the heater's on because I'm out of propane. Because I don't have $20 to fill the 20-pound tank. Even the last line of that there um, is supposed to be so much louder. I'm only playing with I'm trying to get some settings, like a template locked in for like when I actually go to do this delivery. So what I'm doing, I'm figuring all the layers, harmonies, channel routing, the effect staging, and I've done this a number of times with this track, but I've never gotten it to a place where I'm happy with it. And I'm hoping to actually get it to somewhere that I'm happy with it this time around. And then actually like release it, and I might I think I'm gonna fiddle with adding some guitar into it, um, but I just I thought to turn the camera on for a minute and because I'm trying to get in the habit of communicating, because the communicating is making me like communicate something, that I've got like a goal, or that I'm pursuing, something. So like saying it and uploading it and it being a thing that other people can see, regardless of if it's being seen, which statistically, so far it has not. Um, but it, like, at some point, maybe, because ultimately, yeah, my goal is to be seen and heard in the musical community, in the public space, um, for reasons that I think are different than the motivations of a lot of people. And not to say that there's particularly anything wrong with a lot of other motivations. um, I just don't want to be misunderstood. um, but at the same time, I'm not going to handhold. Like, I want to have influence because I believe that I have a perspective and manner of thinking that is conducive to a more freeing, creative, and intellectually productive direction in the kind of guiding of the conversation that is the zeitgeist of our thing here on this rock spinning around. And that may seem like a um, presumptive and wholly arrogant type of notion to think of oneself, that it's like, what is it? Do I think I know better than 7 billion people or something? It's like, no, it's not how I mean. It's not about like knowing better. It's there's a there's a better way to do any and everything. There's a more decidedly purposeful way that is positive and constructive to go about any and everything, to go about with gathering your motivation to continue to put effort into thought. Um, and I don't see a lot of um, positive direction, um, or mindful or thoughtful direction. I mean, there's a lot of thoughtful direction, but it's there's a lot of malice thought, and there's a lot of very small-minded and short-sighted and unproductive and unconstructive and just there's just so many people being so loud in all of the wrong ways, in all sorts of ways that are just propagating more, holding down and damage and suffering, and it doesn't need to be like that. it, it, it does not need to be anybody's preferential um, mode of being or direction of dictation I'm probably getting a little lost in the sauce of the verbiage here because I'm trying to articulate something ineffable, and it's like a compound, like a ineffable squared, because it's a ineffable thought and concept that is trying to be pushed through a linguistic engine that is happening post experience of thought, because my thinking internally does not consist of language and words. I don't have a like running internal monologue that is idealized as like something segmented, compartmentalized inside of self. I've been fractured as a self and segmented into multiple pieces, and I have integrated and reconstituted myself as a singular essence and entity inside of my mind. And I think a lot of modes of thought psychologically require, as a form of function, fundamentally a segmentation of self that I experience as the beginning cracks to deepening um, chisels and gashes that ultimately end up breaking apart the structure from being a cohesive, conducive, full, and whole self. Um, so just being aware of that, um, and noticing in the day-to-day interactions with people, whether or not they have a conceptualization of that inside of their mindful awareness about themselves, and seeing what I find to be a lack thereof, that um, I find that I continuously think of myself as I, I want to know. I want a different way of saying more self-aware, because that's not what it is. Um, but it's a larger portion closer to the core that is a whole chunk. Like, to try to convey this spatially is not exactly helpful to communicating the concept, and that's the place where my translation kind of like breaks down and fails often, um, because I end up kind of like blending the metaphor with the descriptor of um, the visible properties of the representation of a thought, in opposed to the subject matter referential data points that make up the thought. If that follows, um, and yeah, then I just get kind of like stuck there. That's that space there, that space that is breaking down and incommunicable. Um, that space to keep that from collapsing is what artwork fills in, to try to bridge the internal structure from the objectively um, intellectual if that is a word, um, intelligible, um, tries to bridge that scaffolding. So, but unfortunately, what that requires is a fully knowing, on somebody's end, um, the full condition of um, how the other is interpreting, and um, that really can't be known. So it's only useful in communicating like this to generalize, so that way your communication casts as wide a net as possible to resonate with the most amount of individuals, in opposed to having a custom dialogue one-on-one, to um, uh, to personalize every single transmission, so that way like that connection is reached, and there's a sinking moment of like, okay, we both realize the bridge, and see through it to the other side. We both see we have the idea. Yeah. Uh, so in generalizing, um, one can find themselves um, in a perspective that is looking down at, or something similar to that. The other side's uh, um, conceptualizations and it comes with a lot of presuming and a lot of assuming that they don't have quite as much of this or that. Yeah, I'm muddying this up now because that's definitely not like really sounding exactly like where I'm trying to get at. But anybody that hung to hear in this conversation, I'm sure is following enough to recognize that there is so much more thought and meaning and intention and individual things like being put across and all that wrapped up in these presentations that are art and the work and um, even when I was doing um, the punk project, the Mutant Cadavers, that was like the most active project that I had while living in the Delaware scene area. We were active for a number of years around here. Um, Even that project with the theme and surface facade that it had was all the keys to decrypting the rest of what was going on inside of it, and clearly there weren't that many that um, found those details to be as such, because we didn't get very far along with too many of the people and groups around here, especially not like general public. I've always found myself being a musician's musician, in that I know a lot of musicians take in my stuff, or any of they bother to listen or watch. you Maybe they're not necessarily fans, in that they don't put it on for their own entertainment or pleasure, but they watch. um and I've just gotten to a point now where like I can't do anything else but something that is in pursuit of this, in pursuit of making, in pursuit of facilitating making. um that I'm not but like at the same time, like I need to eat, but I'm also just not going to go to fucking McDonald's or a day job or some fucking bullshit anymore. I'm just not. And like, so I I I need to figure the ways of making the enormous array of things that I'm capable of doing um, monetizable, and the fact that that um, skill set is so widely varying, but entirely capable, and that I don't have, any foothold, is just baffling to me. Like, I've been trying to set up like murals and commission paintings, and like in the past 5-6 years, I've sold over 100 paintings, all for like minimum is like $150, up to $300, $500, $600. I sold a painting for $4,000, but as soon as I turn my intention or direction into seeking, that, like all those paintings, I painted them because I wanted to paint them, and then like it's like that's why they were painted, and then I put them up, somewhere, and then they sold that way. But now that I'm like seeking commission work, and saying, hey, you want something created, I'll create it for you. I, I can't I can't find, but I can make fucking anything, and I was I know how to do so many different things at a functional, capable, proficient level, that not having any of that, be supporting me is I just don't know. I don't know why, or when I had people around me, it was a lot easier, and I don't currently have people around me at all, like trying to deliberately, facilitate me, and um, that I see as like the main difference. So like, what is the better mindset or direction to try to figure how to do what I do and then do what they did in addition, or to find new people, but then you're in a position of that is the reason that you're seeking somebody out, in opposed to meeting somebody organically, and them finding their place in that dynamic, and functionality, that is a role that is suited to them. um, but like that can only take place if I'm otherwise not in need of it, because then I'm not doing the things that are seeking them out, and then I think the seeking them out is the part of the aversion. um, so it's really a weird, like, pickle of a place, where like now, since I'm you know, essentially alone, without my fiance. I don't even have that buffer to um, engage with people, and then trying to fill that role with the intention of filling that role does the same, effect again. So I need to not need them in order to find them, but not needing them means they're um, what they did, for me being done by me, but that's like counter to like just definitionally what those things are, because part of the premise of what that even is that it is somebody separate to me. I'm I'm really having a hard time figuring that portion of everything out, because um, because I don't know why, because I've never had to before, because I feel like it leaves me missing having ideas that are part of some of the presuppositions that are otherwise commonplace amongst people after different ages, that is something unnoted and not necessarily like articulatable as like a identifiable, objectively understood as milestone type of learning, and it leaves me constantly in a position of not knowing why um, there's a misunderstanding, and then the other person not knowing why that there's a misunderstanding, because they don't know what's missing, and I don't know what they have in those presuppositions that are informing, their what they're presuming as a given, where it's so assumed that it's not even thought of or noted, um, is just so fundamental that when it's missing, you can't even call it out precisely. And I think that that is a really, really specific thought. And I'm not sure how common that exact angle on this object is, um, or how to get to that, how to get to even stating that this is what that is without the previous 36 minutes. Um, and trying to figure a way to communicate that um, to people that is a general thought in my mind that have not even considered the notion to even have um, the terminology, like they this is so difficult to try to convey this here. But I'm gonna cut this for now because I'm gonna get back to working on this. Um, I really do hope for a comment or a communication of some sorts to just have another individual outside of fucking AI that even wanders this really particular space to orient and navigate, because I'm currently walking in circles, and I've always tried to convey to others to stop walking in circles, take the spiral staircase. Yeah, and I'm looking, I'm looking. It's really not from lack of trying. Um, I can pop to and imagine being at a different level, but like the um, without the through line to that from this plane. It just having the snapshot from above or below or adjacent or whatever is not exactly helpful. Um, so I need a conversation. I need a somebody else to ground some of these things with, and right now I don't have it.